Okay, it is about that time again. I need to come in here and do a stream. Now I've already kind of wiped down my screen and done all my usual stuff when I start off with. And I wanted to talk a little bit about some stuff. Well, just some stuff in passing before I get started here. Over the course of the past week, I've been playing a lot of video games. But one of the video games in particular that I picked up is it's called Take Me to the Dungeon. It's a porn game, first of all, but one of the reasons that I picked it up is because of the art book that came with it, because I heard through the grapevine that it had some very good sort of examples in it for the creation of visual novel characters and visual novel sprites and that sort of thing. Like here you've got this, here you've got the main character, Una, and obviously that's a very nice sprite. But in addition to that, there is, and I've had to censor this somewhat, there is a process where they show how the sketch evolved from the initial idea to the final sketch. They kind of show the individual steps along that. So that's interesting. And on top of that, they have a little collection of all of the different expressions that they put on her face. So all of these expressions and whatnot, this is some stuff that I've been meaning to work with. So as I'm looking through this, it really kind of looks like the major thing you've got is you've got different eyes. And you can go through and just kind of identify. There are only a few different eyes. Because you can see that we've got the open eyes here, and there are some narrower eyes, I think, right here. The eyes are kind of half closed. But these 5 different shapes of eyes, that's pretty much all there is through all of this. And then on top of that, you've got different mouths. And you've got this smile, you've got the open mouth smile, you've got the surprise and shock, you've got kind of a frown, and you've got the little small O of surprise. There's the frown again, there's the open surprise, there's the open surprise. Here's a kind of frustrated thing. And that is more or less all of it right there. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You've got 5 different eyes, and you've got 6 different mouths, and these have been put together into 24 different expressions. Theoretically, they could have been put together into 30 different expressions, but apparently the last 6 were not necessary. And you can see, for one, that the frustrated mouth is not used frequently. And there's another mouth. No, those are the same. But you've got just a few different elements here, and all of these go on exactly the same. They go on exactly the same face, exactly the same body. Everything in here is the same except for the eyes and the mouth, just for that little triangle right there. And I was looking at this, and I was thinking, fundamentally what you've got here is you've got 12 images that are being composited together. You've got a blank face, and then you've got 6 different eyes and 5 different mouths, and then those are just layered on top of each other, 1, 2, and 3, and that's all there is to it. 1, 2, 3. And that's it. That's really all there is to getting these things to fit together. But one of the things I was thinking about is that you could also, depending on whether you want to run in kind of an assembly line method or not, you could also sort of composite all of these things together and then do individual images for each one of them. But that would take a lot more time. And one of the things that I was thinking about was as you're doing this kind of stuff, as you're putting together these different facial expressions and the different variations, it feels kind of samey. And I was kind of thinking about how much time and effort needs to be put into that. And there's stuff like, obviously I'm gonna have to crop these because I can't be showing like naked titties and stuff on YouTube. But is there anything I can show? There really isn't. There really isn't anything here I can show. What can you do? You know, but there are other characters in the game. Like this is a later character, and because it's a less important character, there aren't as many expressions. So you can really kind of reduce this to the expressions that are necessary. And one of the things you can find here is that some of these look almost the same. These eyes are the same all the way across here. There's the one closed eyes, there's the one single closed eye, there's the wide eyes. So you've only got 4 different kinds of eyes there, and then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mouths. So you've still got almost as much work to do on this as you would have with the main character. But you end up with a much smaller selection of expressions because you just don't need the rest. And I was just kind of thinking about this and going through this art book and thinking about the general needs and requirements. I've played a lot of visual novels and a lot of games of that sort. So I understand the fundamental concept of this. I understand what gets done. The question is, I actually have to go in and do the specifics of it, and I have to start thinking about things like this actually I can show. These are some. This is a normal and a damaged version of the same sprite. And the important thing that I'm looking at here is the silhouette is still the same. It's really keeping the silhouette the same no matter what happens. But it is chopping off bits of the cloak here. That's not obvious in the little collection that I got here. Let me toss that out the way. If you look here, you can see that parts of the coat are being chopped off. Parts of this cloak, this cape. Should not be trying to draw with the mouse, especially on an art stream. What the hell's wrong with me? But there are all kinds of little things I'm picking up out of this. And another thing is, they just really don't bother with the shadow. It's just a circle on the ground. So they just kind of phone that in. They don't go all out on that. And one of the things that I was thinking about with regard to this is if you go to there's a bunch of comics like it, but if you look at Matthew Inman's The Oatmeal, okay, and the actual comic here doesn't matter. What matters here is that while all of the figures here are very simplified, you can see that he's gone out of his way to use proper shading and shadowing on all of this. So even though the images are severely simplified, he's still using the trappings of more sophisticated art. And this is one of the things that makes this fairly simple artwork look much better than it technically is. It's the demonstration by having the shading over here on the side, and by having it consistent, by having it show up in exactly the right places. By having that consistency there, it demonstrates that the artist who made this particular piece understands shading and lighting and shadow, but has deliberately chosen not to include it in detail. And you can also see right here, you can see that here's the little specular highlight on the balloons. And it's just one of these things where the highlight on the balloons indicates that there's a light coming from over here. But if there's a light coming from over here, why is this guy's back in shadow? Technically, this stuff isn't correct, but because it goes through the motions of doing what would be correct, it looks more like the artist has deliberately done this as part of their style and not as a mistake, which is important because the thing about style is stuff that you choose to do on purpose. It's not the stuff that you don't know how to do. It's like I was talking to somebody earlier and I was saying that I have trouble getting appropriate soft shadows on things. Let me kind of give you an example by zooming in on something here. If we zoom in here, okay, you can see that this little bit right here, that little area of the arm, the shadow there is kind of soft here, but it's even softer. It fades away as it comes around here. There's sort of an edge to it here, but it kind of feathers and fades away. And then you have the same basic kind of thing up here. You can see there's the shadow of the dress, but the shadow on the skin, you have this kind of pinkish shadow here, and it fades as it comes up. Now, I'm very bad at getting these kind of soft shading elements to look right. I mean, when you really zoom in on that and you look at how that's done, I'm not very good at making the shading look nice and smooth and gradual. But I could just go for a cell shading model. And if I went for a cell shading model and everything was, let me do this on if I went with a cell shading model and I just went, okay, so we're going to start with this color and we're going to make it substantially darker. Actually, let's change that to a multiply layer. And what I could do is I could just cell shade this area, and then it wouldn't have that smooth line, but I could say, oh no, I did that on purpose. That's the style. That's the style I'm going for. And it's one thing to have a style. There's nothing wrong with having a style. But if you're using your style to cover up for the fact that you do not have the fundamentals necessary to do the work that you're doing. If you're using it to cover up a deficiency, that's the wrong thing to use style for. It's really not what you're supposed to be doing with style. So, so I'm kind of, and I realize that this has kind of been like the rant and flail channel for the past month or so, but I'm really kind of wrestling with this issue. That's not the way that should look, is it? Looks like they got kind of sloppy in here. In here. With kind of a very dark color. Like right in here, right in here. That's kind of sloppy. But yeah, this kind of shading, and like particularly if you zoom in on like this space right here, and you see the sort of the ambient occlusion that goes on in this space. It's slightly different. Let's use a slightly different. So jack up the opacity. There's this space right here. There's this ambient occlusion in here. And then there's a shadow right here. And then there's a shadow up underneath. And you can see right here this pinkish area where it's shaded, but everything goes smoothly into the next shadow. And then you have a slightly tighter and sharper shadow up here, the shadow of the cuff that she's wearing. And then you've got this little area here that is highlighted. And that highlighted space brings that out. I'm not good at doing this. I just need to, I need to put in more time working on this and drawing stuff like this. But it's very frustrating because I'm not good at it. And if we just kind of look at this as what's been done here. Huh. See, a shading in here is a kind of thing that's difficult for me to get right. Kind of thing that's difficult for me to do at all. So, because I don't have years of art school and I don't have the I'm at this weird kind of plateau, and it's frustrating. But the thing about this plateau is, I know there's a way off of it. And I know the way off of it is at the other end of doing a bunch of bad work. Now, I say that over and over again. The only way to do good work is to do a bunch of bad work. So I got to do my bad work, get it out of the way so I can get to the good work. But I don't like doing bad work. I don't enjoy doing bad work. I don't want to do bad work. But I kind of don't have a choice. There's a little thing right here. This this space. You can see here there's a form to how this comes together. And it's kind of, you've got this twisting this way, so you've got the arm is in front of this, and you've got the lat is in front of this, because she's kind of turning to the side like this. As she's turning to this side over here, okay? She's bringing all of this around, and then here, this is just the edge of her back. There's that shoulder, there's that. There are all of these little things that need to be picked up through observation. Like if you come down here and you look at the edge of the skirt, okay? You have the edge of the skirt kind of doubles back on itself. And every time it doubles back on itself, okay? Every time it doubles back, inside there you have that little crease. So you get this kind of Z-fold, and then that. And then here, you have a shadow. So let's kind of codify that. And when you look at how the skirt is done, it's a kind of a Z-fold like that. And then there's the bottom. Here's the pleat on the top. And then underneath of this, you have a shadow. And obviously there's a shadow under there. But I want this shadow kind of be, I want it to be soft. I'm not very good at getting shadow to be soft. Like when I try to blend, it doesn't work well. Maybe blur, or it looks like blur works better. I really like the way the fingertip works. But that kind of, there are 8 million little shortcuts like that. Like you can do that. Repeatedly. And you can kind of do it, you can do a convincing fake skirt. One of the more important elements of that is this bit right here. It is this turnaround where we go from, it's curving around this way from the back to the front to it's curving around this way from the front to the back. And there has to be a transition in there. And the way that transition has been done is with a kind of diagonal line situation. So right here, we have this very wide sort of pleat, and then it just continues in the same fashion. And this piece is full of stuff like that. There's all kinds of just like little bits that you can pick up by looking into it. Like the sleeve is sort of this interlocked barrels situation. And then the arm comes out of that. The belt's a good example. The belt sort of swoops around and you see it flip over. The dark bottom side here gives way to the lighter top side here. So you have this kind of thing like this going on, where it flips around. And that's relatively simple to do. You just you do this little sausagey shape, and then here, you just do your turnaround, where it's flipping over. And you can make that take significantly longer if you want. But that's the basic idea there. You just kind of thin it out. So you can think of it as a teardrop shape with another teardrop shape, or you can think of it as just a big wiener shape, and then this little sort of S curve that goes in the middle. So you have your flip over. And if you shade that properly, that's pretty basic. You have a similar kind of thing when you're drawing tentacles. Where this part's in front, this part's in the back. And they just kind of flow into each other. Got kind of a colored bottom. And you would put it in like that. I don't even know what I'm getting at with this. There are logistical things to consider when you're doing game graphics. And one of the things that I'm still not really working on. I mean, I'm working on technique in terms of how exactly do you draw an eye. You know, and we've spent a lot of time on that sort of thing. But the actual process of what layers does the eye go on, that I haven't spent a lot of time on. And there's I keep talking about Gargora's eye style and just the way those eyes are done. It's one of the most fantastic ways to do eyes, and I'm thoroughly impressed by it. It's just they're the most fantastic eyes. When you zoom in here and you look at all of the detail, and you look at how many layers you're looking at, and you look at here's a highlight and here's a highlight, here's a highlight, another highlight, and you've got these brighter highlights on top. You've got that shadow, you've got this kind of wave formation there. And then you've got that central area of the iris and that central pupil. And just all of that fits together, just all of these elements together. That's so much work. And then it's all just kind of dragged together with these little... I mean, there's not much to it, really. But when you actually get into this and you have all of that work and all of those layers and all of that detail that goes on, that's that's really complex and really difficult. Another thing that you notice in these expressions is that in some of them, in some of them she is, in some of them she's blushing, and in some of them she's not. Like there could be a much stronger blush, there could be a much weaker blush. There are some that have almost no blush at all, but that gives you that additional variation. So you can kind of you can divide that up really into kind of strips like that. You got three kinds of closed eye. I'm just kind of rambling at this point. I don't have anything meaningful to say. I do notice, however, that as mentioned previously, eyelashes are important for a sexually available character. Just like you undoubtedly noticed on Gura, very smooth lashes, no visible protruding eyelashes on them at all. Because in the language of anime eyes, notice how basic these notice how basic these eyes are. We've got this dark colored iris, and we've got a little highlight in the middle, and we've got a bright highlight around the edge. Kind of lightened out around that. And then we've got that single little highlight up in the corner. Right there. Not a very complex eye, really. It's all very pixelated and low resolution, too. That's kind of the core of that bit. I really say this week, I'm not really doing anything all that useful these days. I'm just kind of thinking about stuff but not getting much of any. Just like, I mean, it's winding toward the end of my year. I've got like I got this week and next week are the final episodes of season 2, and I don't feel like I have any big cool blowout to have in the last episodes. I don't really have anything cool to do for the first episode of season 3. God, I'm starting on my 3rd year this stuff. This is 111 weeks today. 111 consecutive weeks of streaming. What am I doing with my life? I think I need to focus in and concentrate on just doing what works, the character poses I need, and the character types that I need. That would probably get me a lot farther in terms of moving me toward getting shit done and getting Groping Festival out the door. I do still have to work out how exactly I'm going to get it up on Steam. Oh, wait, no. I can put it up on Itch.io. I can put it on Itch.io, and after I get some in-app purchases from it, if I get any, I may not. But I can use whatever in-app purchases it brings in to turn around and put it on Steam. And I have to verify all of my business licensing and whatnot. I don't know that I have anything meaningful to say tonight. If I had anything meaningful to say tonight. Just over here, talking into the wind. The things that I told one of my Discord users earlier was we were talking about stuff, and I was pulling out various little bits and pieces of information, stuff that I'd done and places that I'd been, and I don't remember specifically what it was that we were talking about it, but it's like, man, I kind of feel like I should be more impressed by that. And I said, nobody's ever impressed by the things that you did. They're impressed by the things that you're doing. And that's really kind of where things are right now. I've got a lot of stuff that I've done. I just kind of... It's so pathetic to pull out, I used to do cool stuff. Like, fuck, I used to do cool stuff. Are you doing cool stuff now? That's what matters. Do cool stuff today. You're not doing cool stuff today. The cool stuff you did before doesn't matter. And I was talking to somebody about getting Groping Festival out the door, and he said, well, why don't you just do it without the art? Because without the art, it's nothing. There's nothing for anybody to get excited about. It's just a clicker game like any other. Although I'm really, really excited about the Prestige Matrix. That to me is like the core of the game, the Prestige Matrix. And there are still some things that need to be resolved around that. And I don't know why I even bother talking about this shit. I don't have it nailed down enough to explain in a lot of cases. I mean, there's some kind of power up going on with Prestige Matrix, and there's the trade off between do you want to get the power up or do you want to gain points toward improved performance on a Prestige? And I haven't nailed down what that trade off needs to be yet. I also really want premium currency to come out of this, because one of the biggest mistakes people make when they make a free-to-play game with in-game purchases is they completely starve the player for the premium currency. It's like if you're buying packs of gems in the online store, a bad designer will set it up so the online store is the only place you can get gems. You don't get gems from anything else. Or they're stingy with it and they only give you a few and it doesn't really work out very well. But what you really want to do from a psychological standpoint is you want to give the player a substantial amount of gems and get them wishing that they had more. If you're too stingy with the gems, they go, oh, you're being stingy on purpose to make me buy gems. But if you're fairly generous with them, they're like, oh, well, you know, I just don't feel like waiting the extra half hour it would take to get these gems. And then that's worth a few bucks, you know, and people don't get mad about it. That's one of the big concerns that I've got is how to do, I need to do the in-app purchases ethically, and I need to do them in a way that doesn't piss the player off. They have to be completely unnecessary. You can play the game without the in-app purchases entirely. But they also have to make a difference. They have to be good in-game purchases. Well, some of them do, anyway. The fact of the matter is that like half of the upgrades in any in-app purchase situation are worthless. Like stuff that you're going to get in a little bit of time anyway. Like if you buy a pack of special panties, you just hang out and play the game. You'll get the special panties. It'll happen. Time warps. You know, it's not really going to make that big of a difference. You know, and having these things is expected. People expect you to have this stuff so they can go, oh, I don't want to wait a week for this. I just want the week to go by now. And you can do that. Sure, that's fine. You want to spend money on that? Fine, but it's not going to give you any real advantage in the game. I mean, the smart things to do are to go for permanent upgrades that last. And typically the in-app purchases are the only way to get upgrades that persist through the prestige mechanic. I'm way into the weeds on this, and y'all don't care about this sort of thing. I've been doing a lot of really crappy streams lately, and I need to think about that. I need to think about what I'm going to do to improve these streams, because it's not your fault nobody shows up for the stream. It's not your fault you're not here. It's my fault that you don't want to be. If my streams were better, you would want to show up. I think most streamers forget that. They think, no, I'm entitled to an audience. You are never entitled. You can say what you have to say, and I do. I say what I have to say. I say it all the fucking time. But I am not entitled to people listening to what I have to say. And sometimes nobody listens, and nobody cares. And if I want that to change, I got to change what I'm saying. It's that simple. I don't know. Anyway, I don't have anything meaningful to say beyond this. I probably didn't have anything meaningful to say up to this. So, another shitty stream. What a day. Oh, I should update you on the I should update you on the Drawbox thing. I I got different paper. I got just like regular printer paper like they recommend. And then I didn't do anything. I got the paper and I put it on my desk and I didn't touch it. So I don't know. I haven't been doing my 50-50 stuff. I haven't gone in and drawn for fun for any meaningful period of time at all. So really do that. Really just go in and spend half an hour to an hour drawing and then go back and read 5 pages in my sketchbook. I don't like work. It's always so obnoxious when you get a book to work in and then you don't like it. So you don't want to use it. It's just a waste. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for putting up with my horse shit as much as you have. And you know, do a little YouTube dance, like, comment, subscribe, bell icon. I don't have anything to say. Okay, bye.